Hello, this is Samo Guy in Hawaii with a follow-up on the DLC only video. A couple of things. First off, starting backpack space in a regular game is 12, not 25. And I'm not sure where 25 comes from in my recent playthroughs. It might be the use of the Access mod. It might be the presence of the mod manager. My latest Gauge playthrough does not utilize any mods, but at some point, the backpack space still jumped up to 25. I do know that when we complete certain rescue claptrap missions in the game, we earn an additional 3 spaces each time. SDU purchases also increase backpack space by 3 with each upgrade. In either case, we should at some point end up with 24 slots, not 25. So I'm not sure what's going on. Just be aware that the game may gift us with 25 or may be limited to 12. And 12 spots means the need to really be picky about what we keep and what we discard. Okay. The Access mod also introduces gear and perks that include ammo regeneration, mainly but not exclusively on shields. This makes dealing with low ammo reserve decidedly easier. Push come to shove, if we are running low, we can usually hunker down somewhere and wait while our ammo regens. If we don't use the mod, ammo reserves become a much bigger issue. Okay. I also implied in the previous video that level disparity was mainly an early game issue and less so between levels 20 and 28, okay, moving from this content into this content. That's not necessarily correct. Once we hit level 13 and gain access to on-level gear, things get decidedly easier, and we can complete all the main story missions for these 7 DLCs by level 20 or 21. From there, taking on this content is a repeat of the early game, dealing with severely over-level enemies with lesser skills and level-locked gear until we get to level 28. Now, there are plenty of side missions for these DLCs that will get us to, say, level 24. But beyond that, we encounter diminishing returns versus rank-and-file enemies against whom we are increasingly over-leveled. 1 XP here, 2 XP there. At this point, rather than take forever to farm up to 28, we may opt to take on the higher level content, and that experience tends to mirror the early game. Okay, not quite as difficult, but still a real challenge, and although we should know how to approach things by now. Okay, with that in mind, a variation on the rules, I am currently running Gauge through the challenge with just the base game, no Access mod. I threw out the restriction on base game farming. This allowed me to build up a bit more XP early on and get a Hornet by both farming Knuckle Dragger. Yes, it's level 1, but it's a Hornet, surprisingly helpful at higher levels depending on Vault Hunter build. So farm all you want, just don't go past Liarsburg. But that variation, and having done this now close to a dozen times with different Vault Hunters, got me thinking about scoring. Okay, the base challenge itself is just get it done. Okay, to get to the content. If we do this once, we know we can do it again. Why do it again? 1, see what it's like to do it on another character. 2, to see if we can do it better. But what's better? How do we judge our performance? How do we score our run? The Borderlands community heavily favors scoring by time. How fast can we get it done? We can do it that way, but I have another approach, a different scoring criteria, namely XP. This number right down here in the mission log. Okay. The idea is to complete all the DLC main story content with the lowest possible number here. This adds a whole nother layer of complexity and, more importantly, choice to any playthrough. Because while on the one hand, we normally want to get as close as possible to on level with enemies and gear to make our life easier, this encourages us to complete content at the lowest possible level, to do things the hard way, if you will. We actually stay away from side missions and killing for XP just to level up whenever possible. The less enemies we actually defeat, the less XP, the lower our score. Now, we have something else to think about when both under and over level. Ideally, we want to complete as much of any main story content under level. Okay. One other thing to think about, if we ignore the DLC only framing and instead focus on the limited resources, ammo reserves, and backpack space, we can apply this challenge to any Borderlands content. Not a DLC only challenge, but rather a no SDU challenge. Play through Borderlands 2 main game without purchasing any SDUs. Okay, play through all the game content that way. Do it with OG Borderlands or the pre-sequels. Do it with Borderlands 3, although if we go with a most pure Iron Bear build, the restrictions don't really matter. In any case, if you like this kind of content and want to see more, consider liking, commenting, subscribing. As always, stay safe, and thanks for watching.